When you think of college basketball, you think of the Blue Bloods. You think of Duke, Kentucky, UNC, UCLA. But in this March Madness, some of these Blue Bloods are seated a little lower than they typically are. Duke and UConn are still in the top two lines, but Kentucky and UCLA are on the 7 line, and UNC is a 6 seed. Now, in this video, we're going to break down whether these Blue Bloods can make a run to the Final Four. We're going to talk about their matchups and their potential matchups moving forward. Let's start with the UCLA Bruins, led by the one and only Mick Cronin. Now, we all know Donovan Dent, one of the best point guards in the country. He's been playing his best basketball as of recently. Now, he got banged up in the Big Ten tournament, but we're all expecting him to be back for March Madness. Tyler Bilodeau, their big man who can stretch the floor, also got banged up, but we're expecting him to be back as well. Now, they also have a veteran in Sky Clark on the wing. They have Tyler Perry. They have Xavier Booker. They got guys. This team is good. They've shown it time in and time out, and especially as of recently. Now, they didn't fare too well in the non-conference. They lost to Gonzaga. They lost to Arizona. But they also beat Illinois, Purdue, and Michigan State in Big Ten play. Now, they play UCF in the first round, and if they win that, they'll most likely play UConn. UConn has not played their best basketball this year. Are they still Dan Hurley's UConn Huskies, the 2-time national champs with him at the helm? 100%. So am I saying UCLA is going to get by UConn? No. But is it very, very possible? I think so, especially if Donovan Dent is healthy and playing his best basketball. Now, if they can get by UConn, the 3 seed would be Michigan State. It could potentially be the 11 seed South Florida, maybe the 6 seed Louisville. I think if they could get by UConn, they'd have a decent chance to move on to the Elite 8. Now, Duke is banged up as well. Duke is without Caleb Foster and Patrick Gungba. Now, am I expecting Patrick Gungba to be back? Yes, I am not expecting Caleb Foster to be back. So if Duke is the team that makes it out of the top side of the East region, and UCLA could play them, if they're playing a banged up Duke team, who says they can't make another Final Four run like they did in 2021? Now, I'm not saying this is going to happen, but if you had to bet on a 7+ seed to make it to the Final Four, I think UCLA is your best bet with their draw. I think the top side of the East region is a lot scarier than the bottom side with UConn and Michigan State. Now, St. John's, we know, they've been playing good basketball. They're the 5 seed in the East. Kansas is the 4 seed. Now, they're kind of a loose cannon. Is Darren Peterson going to play? He's been playing a lot recently, but can you count on him? I don't think so. And then Duke, like we mentioned, injuries. So, UCLA, am I saying they're going to make the Final Four? No. But can they absolutely do it? 100%. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, what are you doing? We're going to have full March Madness coverage, including previews, recaps, and breakdowns. Hit the subscribe button and enjoy the rest of the video. Now we have the Kentucky Wildcats, who are one of the most polarizing teams in all of March Madness year in and year out. It feels like they either make a deep run into March or they lose in the first round. There's no in between. We saw it against St. Peter's. We saw it against Oakland a few years ago. Now, it's a little different this year. Like I said, they are a 7 seed. They're playing Santa Clara in the first round. Santa Clara has not been to the tournament in 30 years. I think they're hungry. I think they have a talented squad. Now, are they as battle-tested as Kentucky? No. Kentucky's played a hard schedule in the non-conference and in the SEC. Now, did they fare super well in the non-conference? No. I think they're going to be a very popular pick to get to the Sweet 16 or Elite 8 based off the name brand, based off of them being a blue blood. But I just don't see it. I don't see Mark Pope bringing this team that has been so inconsistent all season to the Elite 8 or let alone the Final Four. So can Otega Oweh and Denzel Aberdeen lead that backcourt, lead them to the round of 32? Can they get by Santa Clara? Yeah, I don't think anyone's denying that. But if they run into Iowa State and they somehow get by Iowa State, then they run into maybe Tennessee or Virginia. I just don't see it happening. I think if you had to take one of the 2 7 seeds at UCLA and Kentucky, UCLA is your best bet. Now, Kentucky, they have improved as the season went on, but they are still so inconsistent. Now, we saw it against Florida, and Florida's very good, but they played Florida 3 times this year, and they did not lead once in 120 minutes of play. They did not lead once. And I get it, Florida's very good, but those are the type of teams you're going to see in the tournament. Iowa State is one of the best teams in the country, and you're probably going to have to face them in the second round if you move on. So the Kentucky Wildcats, I'm out on them making a run in the 2026 March Madness. The final blue blood we're going to talk about is the North Carolina Tar Heels, led by Seth Trimble because obviously no Caleb Wilson, which is a big blow to them. And if he was playing, I think they would have been seeded a little higher, and my thoughts about them would be a little different. They open up with VCU, and it would not shock me if VCU wins that in the 11-6 matchup. If UNC can get by them, they play an Illinois team with one of the best offenses the analytics have ever seen. They were once ranked 1 all-time this season in offensive rating, which is absurd. Now, is their defense very good? No. Are they inconsistent at times? Yes. So, is Illinois, a surefire team to make it to the Sweet 16? No. But do I think they have a good draw with matching up against potentially UNC or potentially VCU? Yeah. So let's say UNC gets by Illinois. Then they play in the Sweet 16 in the South region, most likely against the Houston Cougars. Now, the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 in the South region are in Houston. That would be a home game for Kelvin Sampson's squad. I think the Houston Cougars, if they were to face off against UNC, would be favored by double digits. I think they would be favored by close to 15 points, which would be crazy for a Sweet 16 matchup with a 6 versus a 2 seed. This is not the same UNC team that we saw a couple months ago. It's not the same UNC team that beat Duke in Chapel Hill. It's too bad Caleb Wilson's hurt. And can Derek Dixon, can Seth Trimble, can they make some noise? Yeah. Can Henry Vasar man the front court with Jaron Stevenson? I'm not going to say they can't, but do I even trust them to make it out of the round of 64 as a 6 seed? I don't. I'm not a big fan of Hubert Davis. If Roy Williams was still at the helm, maybe if RJ Davis was still there, maybe my thoughts would be a little different. But out of these 3 Blue Bloods, the only team I can even trust to make it out of the round of 64 is UCLA. So I do not think this is a year that one of these Blue Bloods is going to make a deep run to the Final Four. Because 2 of the 3 teams I mentioned, I can't even trust to make it out of the first round. Let me know in the comments if you think any of these 3 Blue Bloods can make a run into March. Now, it doesn't even necessarily have to be the Final Four, but can they make a Sweet 16 or an Elite 8 run? Tell me which one you think has the best opportunity to do so. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Leave a comment on what video you'd want to see next, and make sure to hit that subscribe button. We're going to have tons of content coming out all of March Madness. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. CBB Today. Peace.